Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 15th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. It's showing that upper level low that kicked off some thunderstorms across Oregon quite nicely here. You can see it centered across eastern Oregon now. Some strong thunderstorms are possible across eastern Oregon and Idaho today. But the big weather story here is going to be this upper level low. It's going to drop down right off our coastline. You can clearly see it dropping down across the Gulf of Alaska. It's moving into place as we speak. We have thunderstorm potential west of the Cascades across western Oregon, Washington, and western British Columbia. We're going to dive into those details as we go through the video today. Taking a look at last night really quickly, you can see that I believe is 2620, the fire. They just gave it numbers apparently, but it's across some of the Olympic Peninsula there. And I could see this from my house out here near the Seattle area, and it was putting out some pretty good flames there. And it's still burning today. We'll see if that thing flares up. I just wanted to point that out really quickly. And if I take a look here, this is what I shot from my house last night. So yeah, pretty interesting to be able to see flames across some of the Puget Sound region here out towards the Olympic Mountains. So very interesting. And now if we take a wider look at things here, we're going to scroll back through yesterday and you see the thunderstorms start across Northern California and really put on a show across some of the southern Oregon Cascades. East slopes moved up across eastern Oregon on through this morning, and it's taking a little bit of a break here, but still producing some lightning across Idaho. But there's going to be some very strong storms that pop off across some of eastern Oregon and Idaho. Severe potential with that will exist today as well. But then our upper level low will bring thunderstorm activity mainly for Saturday. It'll move up across Northern California, Oregon, and up into Washington and British Columbia. And that is what everybody wants to know about. That's what the hype is getting going here. And I got some interesting stuff coming up here. I can't wait to show you. So taking a look at today, mainly Cascades off to the east. You see they have the marginal risk out here, but if I were them, I would probably have some of this risk back in towards eastern Oregon, mainly a wind threat associated with that and some dangerous lightning as well. This is day 2, North Cascades, British Columbia, maybe some of the Blue Mountains here, but then day 3, things start to get interesting, and the Severe Prediction Center is paying attention. It does include Medford, Eugene, Portland, Willamette Valley, Puget Sound, Seattle, and up through southwest BC, and of course the Cascades also, and this could be extended further to the east as we go. And this is day 1. Isolated dry thunderstorm potential still ongoing here. It's been kind of a common theme here this summer. And this is Medford, Oregon, talking about that lightning risk here Thursday afternoon, mainly Crater Lake East, Highway 97 eastbound here. You can see Paisley and Lakeview, gust to 50 miles per hour. And of course, lightning may cause wildfires. Pendleton all over it as well. You can see the higher chances of dry isolated storms down near Redmond, Bend, and better moisture to deal with here across some of Pendleton and up towards the Blue Mountains there. You could get some precipitation with those storms today. Now, this is looking at Friday afternoon, evening in Spokane with their nice graphics here. Lightning, locally heavy rain, burn scar flooding, again, is a possibility even across the Washington Cascades coming up here and for the Oregon Cascades, especially as we go through Saturday. But this is for Saturday evening and night. And again, some of the new wildfire starts have that potential to get going here. Breezy outflow winds and some heavy rain. And even the Seattle National Weather Service is getting in on the action. And I'll tell you what, the odds are better than this for the probability of thunder. They're just playing it conservative as we start off here. But yeah, it's definitely has the potential to affect a lot of western Washington coming up. So looking at Seattle, 77, just a degree below average. And average, actually, the overnight low was 60. So technically, we were a little above average if you do the mean temperature there for yesterday. Nowhere near the record high. And we're probably going to be adding some precipitation for the first time this month coming up here in the next few days, mainly being Saturday or Sunday. Now, taking a look at the high resolution rapid refresh, we'll go through today. You can see that thunderstorm activity moving, but this is this afternoon. You can see these strong storms develop across eastern Oregon, perhaps pushing into Washington a little bit there. And then we wait for Friday to come on here. You see mainly the North Washington Cascades, Northeast Washington, British Columbia, Alberta, and maybe the Blue Mountains there as we go through the evening hours tomorrow. But then you can see our storm system there curling up off the coastline here right at the very end, 48 hours out. And this will start to impact places west of the Cascades as we go through the day Saturday. So let's take a look a little bit further off. And there's a European. Here we go Thursday. There's Friday, and now we're going to go through Saturday. Look at this. By the time we get towards Saturday morning, you see that thunderstorm activity coming up across western Oregon into Washington. Look at this, all across the Puget Sound, Olympic Mountains there. And as we go through Saturday into Saturday night, there's Sunday morning, continuing for some areas, and then pushing up towards southwest BC as we go on in through the days Sunday. And finally, trying to get out of the area by the time we get towards Sunday afternoon. That's where the European model run ends. But that low's not going to be in a hurry to go anywhere, although the best chance chances for thunderstorms this Saturday on in through Sunday morning for much of the region. Now, this is kind of something fun to look at. This is the simulated infrared satellite imagery here. And there goes Thursday storms here. We're now scrolling through Friday. And then you can see the storm system develop off the coastline here. And you can see those clouds start to spin up the Oregon coast and eventually impacting western Oregon. Those will spin up. Just kind of a nice visual look at what the infrared satellite imagery will probably be looking like here as we go on in through the day Saturday. Now, what is going on at the upper levels of the atmosphere? Well, we got that upper level low that we saw on the satellite imagery there, and then our next system, of course, here, really setting up shop here right off the coastal areas, and that's going to be with us for a few days. By the time we get towards Monday, it tries to lift a bit, but it doesn't want to go anywhere too quickly, and then the European wants to reinforce that, driving another trough down the coastal areas here as we go on in through the next week, and then maybe reinforcing that a bit before it finally starts to move out, and then maybe we'll build a little bit of a ridge here. Who knows? That's way off into the extent of it. You also notice kind of this, what's known as a Rex block with the ridge above the low pressure system there. And this is a diagram of what exactly a Rex block is here. So impress your friends with all your meteorological knowledge. Now, looking at what's going on here with the winds at 500 millibars, I want to show you what a cutoff low is because this is a good example of it. You can see Washington, Oregon is here. And actually, let me do this here really quick. I forgot to put my green circle on today. BC, Washington, Oregon. So you can see we've got 18,000 foot winds, and you can see the low. And you notice why we call it a cutoff low is because you can see the westerly flow in the mid latitudes here. You know, not so much the mid latitudes, a little bit further north here this time of year, but you can see that flow gets cut off here, and this low just kind of, this cold air just gets cut off and meanders by itself because it's got no steering mechanism. And then you start to bring the westerlies back. It tries to lift that trough too, but then that one also kind of gets cut off here, but it still has some steering to it, so it may not hang out for quite as long as you see the westerlies start to return as we go through the following weekend coming up here. So that's kind of a good example of what's coming up here of a cutoff low, and this is looking about Saturday afternoon when the thunderstorms will be ongoing here across portions of western Oregon, Washington into southwest BC. Now, looking at the temperatures at the upper levels of the atmosphere, this also shows what a cutoff low is quite nicely. So you can see that cold air just get dropped off here and just kind of sits here. It's got no steering mechanism. It's going to spin off our coastline and just sit there. And then this polar lobe tries to come by and catch it and push it along, but it also kind of gets cut off there. But this is at the very end of the GFS here. This is actually running as we speak. In fact, this is hot off the presses. So let me update that. Let's go back out to hour 141 and continue on from then. And it's starting to agree with what the European was saying, showing another system trying to set up off our coastline here as we go towards the end of next weekend. So yeah, why not? Instead of having one cutoff low, why not have two for twice the price? So taking a look here at that GFS on the left versus the GFS on the right, and some of the model runs here are showing some pretty intense precipitation rates at times with this activity. And actually last night's GFS was showing a little more. It backed off a little bit this morning, but still pretty good model agreement on the storm starting here as we go through Saturday for western Oregon, then moving up across western Washington and British Columbia here. So good model agreement, just kind of showing you that. Then you can see the upper level low kind of sitting around here as we go on in through the early portion of next week. But we'll be watching that closely. It's likely to details will likely be changing on how that evolves. Now, looking at the high resolution stuff coming in here. So this is the storm activity for today. We're looking at 3-hour precipitation total. You can see some pretty hefty precipitation makers here. Maybe some brief heavy rain out there, but they'll also be producing quite a bit of lightning. And then as we go on in through Friday, you see North Cascades, maybe the Blue Mountains, British Columbia. But then we watch for this storm system here. And as we scroll through the day Saturday, look at some of these precipitation rates showing up. 3-hour totals approaching an inch. And it's even, you know, if I back up to an hour here, you can still see you're approaching almost 1 inch per hour in some of these storms as they move across the Oregon Cascades where there have been fires. So this could cause some burn scar flooding, some localized mud flows and whatnot. And they don't have anything up for the excessive rainfall outlook but for just yet. But heads up across the Cascades of Oregon where you are in and around fires. When these storms move over, they could be producing some localized heavy rainfall. If we look at the European, it shows something similar here, but this is not quite as a high resolution of a model. We're going to scroll all the way out to Saturday, and you'll see the precipitation start across portions of Oregon. You can see some pretty hefty amounts starting to show up there in the 6-hour totals, and a lot of this will be coming in between the 1 and 3 hour period. So as we scroll up in towards Sunday morning, you can see some of these heavy precipitation rates translating up across the Puget Sound, Olympic Peninsula, up towards Vancouver Island. So yeah, we got to watch this. The Cascades, if any kind of fire activity was ongoing, we could have some some of that debris flow and some burn scar flooding. Now, this is looking at the day 3. They have not included the Pacific Northwest in this yet. They may today. We'll see how that goes, but right now they don't have it. It's essential, as you can see, down across some of the southwest. And there it is again. But taking a look at Brookings, Oregon, you can see some of these totals, 24-hour totals, up over an inch in some of these individual ensemble members, but the control is a much more conservative 0.3 of an inch, and the mean is just above that, maybe up towards a half an inch. Here's Astoria moving north. You can see some of the ensemble members have some pretty heavy rain in there. Portland International, the mean is right there at about 0.4 of an inch. And this is Mount Hood. So you can see there is some of this rainfall going to be coming over some of the Cascade areas, and if some of these higher ensemble members come through, and given this is just a selection of one point here, so you could get some local individual areas getting much more precipitation out of this. Seattle, Tacoma as well, kind of that still big discrepancy in just how much is going to fall, and it makes sense still. We're still, 3 days away from this event coming up here, 2.5 days. Vancouver, you're going to get the rainfall also. You can see the control and the mean. Pretty good agreement there. Tri-Cities, wish I had better news for you on this front, and just one ensemble member had, what is that, 1/10 of an inch of precipitation there. So sorry for that. Yakima, though, a little bit better chance and a little bit further off to the west. So a little bit better, but still not much. This is Stevens Pass, and again, some of the Washington Cascades have had fire activity, so we could be dealing with some of that mud flow and some of the burn scar flooding there as well. And Whistler looks like a 1-2 punch here as we go through Saturday and on through Sunday. Now, looking at the GFS for Seattle, it was showing some of those higher precipitation amounts. You can see the control actually launched up here towards 0.7 of an inch here as we go through Saturday night. So we do have the potential for some heavy rainfall. Looking at the smoke also, I want to point this out. This is vertically integrated. We're still dealing with that smoke. You can see the fire there on the Olympic Peninsula, actually producing decent amounts as we go through the day today. The smoke's still kind of around the area. This is the entire column of the atmosphere. This isn't necessarily at the surface, but you see the fire is continuing to produce smoke. So this precipitation will be beneficial. Just hopefully it doesn't come too much at once. Now, this is looking at surface smoke. So if you're across some of the Olympic Peninsula and you smell that smoke here, it's probably from that 2620 fire, of course, right there. And you can kind of see the Williams Mine fire and some of the additional fires. A lot of fire smoke still going on across portions of Idaho as well. Now, this is as we scroll on in through Friday night coming up here, 48 hours out. Then the precipitation will be rolling in. So look at the national blend of models. You can see Seattle. It's been it underdid yesterday, so maybe we'll gain a couple degrees on these temperatures here, but still seasonably cool, just below average for the next 10 days or so. And if you think you've been dreaming that we've been above normal, you're not, because the first half of the month we've been quite a bit above normal here across much of the region. Some of the Oregon Cascades have been slightly below temperature-wise here, and we have been trending. We're bringing these numbers down a bit here, of course, because we've been below normal the last few days, and this is percent average precipitation here. So you can see a lot of Western Washington, Oregon could really use this precipitation coming up here, quite a ways below normal for the first half of August. And again, one more look here, national blend of models. You can see, I'm just going to scroll through these upcoming days. Not much to talk about here. We're keeping the temperature suppressed. We got upper level lows that are going to be spinning around the area, helping out with that. This is looking at fire potential. This is for today. You can see that across Idaho. Here we go, Friday, and then Saturday. Again, it reintroduces it here. You can see, what is it? Talking about critical burn environment out there across some portions of eastern Oregon, and then we go through Sunday there as well. But yeah, I mean, you could get some new fire starts with some of this activity, but there is going to be some pretty good precipitation with some of these storms, especially Cascades off to the west. 6 to 10 day, this was issued yesterday. You can see the below normal sliver there, but once you get to eastern Washington and Oregon, it is calling for above average, Idaho above average as well. And the 6 to 10 day makes sense, right? We've got this troughing going on through August 24th, above average signal. 8 to 14 day, got the near normal. You move inland and you go above, and above average precip showing up there as well. But yeah, I don't know if this guy's going to check out that fire, but if you zoom in far enough, you can see that, what is it, the 2620 fire. I know it's not 4 acres. It's definitely a lot larger than that. It was larger than that last night. It hasn't been updated for 14 hours. So yeah, check back later on today. But yeah, anyway, get the hype going here, folks. We got some very unusual weather. I mean, it does happen from time to time during the summer months where we get these negatively tilted troughs, and it really can put on a show lightning wise here. So if you live down across Phoenix there, you get lightning bolts and whatnot, and you go out across the Grand Canyon and you get lightning bolts in the Grand Canyon and whatnot, and you're like, wow, these are awesome pictures. But it's much more uncommon to get it here across Pacific Northwest. You can capture an image with a lightning bolt with a Space Needle in the background, or Portland Bridge, or whatever, a nice landmark, maybe Mount Rainier, who knows what you can think of. Try to get some landmarks included in some of your storm activity here, and they can be very valuable pictures. So anyway, hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Click like and subscribe. It's free to click that subscribe button down below. Thanks to all my members who support this channel monetarily, and we will do this all again tomorrow. I'm probably going to do a live stream, maybe even tonight, or I might do another video tonight when we get the new model, afternoon model run information here, just so we can be up to date here and see if anything has changed in the model. So anyway, we'll do this all again either tonight, tomorrow. Live streams will be coming. I may be live streaming when I'm out chasing this stuff on Saturday, and I will talk to you guys later.